Friends, today we are going to discuss about various modes of pollination. Now, what is pollination? We know that pollen is produced by the anther and stigma is a receptive unit of flower. So, the pollen which is produced by the anther of the stamen is carried to the stigma of the pistil. The transfer of pollen from the anther to the stigma of pistil is known as pollination. Pollination is nothing but a kind of process during which a pollen is carried, it is transported to the stigma to carry out the double fertilization. The pollinations are of three types, depending upon the nature of pollen, depending upon the source of pollen. The pollinations are classified into three types. The first one is known as autogamy. The second one is known as geitonogamy. And the third one is known as xenogamy. Now, we will discuss one by one each type of pollination. First of all, autogamy. If the process of pollination takes place in a single flower, that means in a single flower, the released pollen from the anther reaches to the stigma of the same flower. That means if the process of pollination takes place in a single flower, in the same flower, it is known as autogamy. Autogamy is a kind of pollination in which the pollen and pistil are of same genetic type. Here, no vectors or agents are required for the process of pollination. But if the flowers are exposed, if the flowers are open, if the flowers are having vibrant colors, if the flowers are large, and if they are exposed, there will be little chances of autogamy. Why it is so? Because if the flowers are exposed, there is a possibility that any kind of agent or vector, like any kind of beetle or a wasp or a moth or a butterfly, visit the flower and induce cross-pollination, induce either geitonogamy or xenogamy. And second thing, for autogamy, the stigma and the anther must lie close to each other to facilitate the autogamy. In some of the cases, some of the plants like oxalis, commelina, viola, oxalis, commelina, viola, etc. These plants produce two different kinds of flowers. The first kind of flower is known as chesmogamous flowers, and second ones are known as clistogamous flowers. What is the difference between chesmogamous and clistogamous flowers? In oxalis, commelina and viola, two different kinds of flowers are produced, chesmogamous and clistogamous. The chesmogamous flowers are produced in the upper part, that is aerial part of the plant. They are large, they are bright colored, they produce nectars. They are bright simple flowers. But the clistogamous flowers, they are produced in bud form. That means they never open up. And second thing, they are underground flowers. So they are in bud form, they are underground flowers. And third thing, in Christogamous flowers, the anther, that is stamen, and stigma, that is pistil, they lie near to each other. And so that there is maximum possibility, that means when the anthers dehisce, when they release the pollen quickly comes into contact with the stigma, and so that autogamy is achieved. So Christogamy is a facultative character. In normal cases, chesmogamous flowers are produced, and so that geitonogamy and xenogamy is achieved in these plants. But in some of the cases, that means when all the environmental factors, they are opposite. That means in adverse conditions, Christogamy is facultative. That means the plants will follow autogamy. So this is the main important topic or point to be noted in autogamy. Now second thing, that is known as geitonogamy. What do you mean by geitonogamy? See, in autogamy, pollination occurs in a same flower, whereas in geitonogamy, pollen from the anther of one flower is transported to the stigma of another flower of same plant. See, concentrate over here, friends. Pollen released from the anther of one flower reaches to the stigma of another flower of same plant. So functionally, geitonogamy is a kind of xenogamy or cross-pollination. Why? Because two different kinds of flowers are associated in this mechanism. But as the pollen comes from the same flower, same plant, pollen comes from the same plant, it is genetically an autogamy. Functionally, it is kind of cross-pollination, and genetically, it is a kind of autogamy. And second thing, in geitonogamy, for the transport of pollens from anther to the stigma, various kinds of transporting agents or vectors are also associated. They are also required. And third one, that is known as xenogamy. What do you mean by xenogamy? Xenogamy is a kind of mechanism of pollination in which pollen from the anther of a flower is transported to the stigma of another flower of another plant. See, here same plant, here another plant. That means here two different plants are associated, two different flowers are associated. So this is only a kind of pollination in which genetically different pollen and stigma are associated. So these are three different kinds of pollination. First one, autogamy within same flower, geitonogamy within two flowers of same plant, and xenogamy between two flowers of two different plants. In autogamy, it occurs automatically, that means no vectors are required. In geitonogamy and xenogamy, different kinds of vectors are associated. Now, let me discuss about different kinds of pollinators, that means pollinating agents. In pollination, different kinds of pollinating agents are required. And the agents of pollination are of two types. The first one, that is biological factors, and second, abiological factors. That is living agents and here non-living agents. See, wind and water are known as abiological or non-living agents. Whereas when we talk about biological or living agents, they may be insects, they may be primates, they may be rodents, they may be reptiles, they may be bats. So depending upon the type of pollinating agents, the pollinations are classified into various types. So we will discuss about various kinds of pollination. The first one will be wind pollination. Now see, friends, when pollination takes place by means of abiological factors or non-living factors, non-living vectors, there is least possibility to reach the pollen to the stigma. Least possible, very little amount of possibility. So, to induce the pollination, that means to become successful in this kind of pollination, in wind pollination or water pollination, the pollens are produced in large amounts because the loss of pollen is much more as compared to pollination by biological vectors. And second, the stigma will be always sticky, so that the released pollen will stick to the stigma. And third thing, the ovules will be produced in lesser amounts, little amounts, as compared to the amount of pollen. So first of all, we will discuss about the pollination by wind, that is wind pollination, or it is called anemophily. Wind pollination or anemophily. Wind pollination generally takes place in those plants in which different kinds of grasses, then poppy, maize, coconut are there. The plants are generally produce unisexual flowers. Second, the pollens are light in weight and non-sticky in nature. They are produced in large numbers. The stigma will be feathery. It will be sticky. And second thing, the most important thing, nectar is not produced, fragrance will not be there, the flowers will be unattractive in nature. So the stigma will be filled, the stigma will be sticky, so that the maximum number of pollens become attached to the uppermost part. The pollens will be light, it will be non-sticky. The flowers will not produce nectar, the flowers will not produce any kind of fragrance, and the flowers will be unattractive. These are the examples of plants in which wind pollination or anemophily takes place: grasses, poppy, maize, coconuts, etc. Second kind of pollination, and that is known as water pollination. Water pollination, that is hydrophily. Now, water pollination or hydrophily takes place in very small group of plants, little plants, only 30 genera, and mostly monocots show this kind of pollination, water pollination or hydrophily. Only 30 genera, out of which, if I want to cite some of the examples, Vallisneria, Hydrilla, these are the freshwater plants, and Zostera, it is kind of marine grass. Here, water pollination takes place. Not all the aquatic plants which grow in freshwater or marine water, they show this kind of, that is water pollination. If we talk about water lily or water hyacinth, these are aquatic plants, these are freshwater plants. But here, water pollination do not take place. Remember, friends. In water lily and water hyacinth, the flowers are grown and exposed on the surface of water. That is upper surface of water, so that they become open up in the air outside the water, and so that various kinds of insects visit them and facilitate cross-pollination, pollination by insects. Entomophily occurs, not hydrophily. So this is a question which is related to NEET examination, related to set examination. Now, friends, let me explain again. In water lily and water hyacinth, pollination by insects takes place. Why it is so? Because the flowers are exposed outside water, that is from the surface of the water in the air. They are exposed. They are exposed to various pollinating agents, and so that pollination by insects takes place in these plants. Water pollination only takes place in 30 genera, as I discussed you earlier. In Vallisneria and Hydrilla, like freshwater organisms or plants, and Zostera, like marine grasses, the water pollination or hydrophily takes place. Now, what happens in water pollination? See, in Hydrilla and Vallisneria, let me talk about Vallisneria. Vallisneria is a fixed, submerged kind of plant. These are the leaves of Vallisneria. The male flowers become detached from the plant They come onto the surface of the water and they release their pollen on the surface of the water. It takes place in Valisneria. The female flowers, they are attached to a spring-like stalk. And when the stalk becomes elongated, they come to the surface of the water, but they remain inside the water. Where they come, that is the stigma of the flowers come into contact with the pollen. Pollen becomes descend into it and pollination takes place. This occurs in Valisneria. Whereas in marine grasses like Zostera, the female flowers remain inside water. The pollens are released in the water, and by passive currents of the water, the pollens become established onto the stigma inside the flower, not on the surface of the water, inside the water, and pollination is achieved. That means in Zostera, pollination is achieved inside water, whereas in Valisneria, the pollination is achieved at the water surface. In both kind of pollinations, that means wind pollination and in water pollination, the flowers are not attractive. They do not produce nectar. They are inconspicuous, unattractive in nature. Can you tell me why it is so? Because the pollinating agents which are associated with this kind of thing, that is this kind of pollination, they are abiotic. That means there is no need to produce various kinds of facultative characters to attract them, and so that the flowers are unattractive. They are devoid of smell, they are devoid of colors, bright colors, they are devoid of edible pollen, etc. So these were two different kinds of pollinations. Those are known as water pollination, hydrophily, and wind pollination.